Namaste everyone, welcome back to Suvi English channel. In today's session, we will discuss a heart-touching story titled Yellow Fish, written by a very famous Tamil writer, Ambai. This story was originally written in Tamil language with the title Manjal Meen, and later it was translated into English. And the story Yellowfish has got two sub-stories. One story is about a fish and the other story is about the narrator. There are two stories interconnected. And this story, Yellowfish, is set at a seashore in Mumbai. And the narrator begins the story by describing the seashore. It was a hot summer day. The sand was very hot. The waves were coming and going back. But the sand was not holding its wetness. It was drying up so quickly, and the sand was spreading like desert at the seashore. And the narrator was observing all the activities at the seashore, and she saw a white boat arriving at the seashore, and it floated like a swan ashore. That means it came floating very fast to the seashore. That indicated that white boat coming to the seashore like a swan, floating like a swan, indicated that the fishing boats were returning from their hunt. It gave a signal to all the people that the fishing boats were coming back from their catch, from their hunt. After some time, when the fishing boats arrived at the seashore, all the fisher women in colorful saris were ready to welcome them. They were ready to welcome the fishermen, they were ready to welcome the fishing boats. The fishing boats carried some loads of fish bundled in fishing nets. As they arrived, both the fishermen and women started sorting the fish. That means they started grading, they started separating the fish based on size, based on their weight, based on their category. They started separating them and packing them. And as they were packing the fish, they threw some unwanted small fish on the sand. There were many unwanted small fish on the sand, and among them there was a yellow fish, and this story is all about that yellow fish. And that yellow fish was struggling for life, it was struggling for water, it was gasping its mouth, it was opening and closing its mouth, and it was trying to get back to the water. And the narrator was observing all this, and when she looked at that yellow fish, she remembered her flashback. She remembered her past. In the past, the narrator had a daughter. She was a prematured baby, and her name was Jalaja. She was a prematured baby and she was kept in an incubator to provide safe environment like mother's womb. So she was in incubator. The narrator stood always outside that room and she was watching her baby, and her baby Jalaja was gasping, was struggling exactly like this yellow fish. That baby, that prematured baby, was gasping her mouth. She was opening and closing her mouth for air. She was struggling for life like that yellow fish. And later, what happened? Unfortunately, Jalaja could not be saved. And later, the narrator learnt that her daughter is dead when Arun, narrator's husband, brought the ashes from crematorium, that electric crematorium. After her death, she was burnt, and that ashes were brought by Arun from crematorium in an urn covered with a cloth. When she learned that her baby was no more, when she learned that her baby was dead, she could not hold her tears, she could not control her pain, her tears, and she started sobbing. That was her flashback, that was her past. And here, that yellow fish also was struggling exactly like Jalaja. And the narrator wanted to help that fish in order to go back to the water. and the narrator tried to hold it and throw it to the water, but she could not do that. As he tried to hold it, it slipped off from her hand, and later she tried catching the fish. She tried holding the fish with a leaf, but then also the fish slipped off from her hand, and luckily there was a fisher boy. The narrator called that fisher boy and requested him to throw that fish, that yellow fish, into the water. And that fisher boy held that fish firmly and ran towards that water, and narrator also ran after him because she wanted to see whether that fish would survive or not. She was worried if that yellow fish would die like Jalaja. So she wanted to see whether it would die or not, it would survive or not. She wanted to save its life, so she requested that fisher boy. That fisher boy ran towards that water and he threw that fish into the water. And that fish, yellow fish, slowly opened its mouth and started swimming, and it got its life back. Looking at yellow fish regaining its life, the narrator felt so happy. She had that satisfaction, she had that happiness that at least she could save that yellow fish. But unfortunately, her daughter Jalaja could not be saved. So this is all about the story Yellow Fish. Thank you.